Hello, this is Kevin Annett, and welcome to our press conference today. It's February the 25th, 2014, and I'm speaking to you from the territory of the Republic of Canada, the former jurisdiction of Canada, so-called Dominion of Canada, which is now under common law jurisdiction and covenant. Now, I'm here today to make two very important announcements, and they follow on a recent disclosure that the present Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio, will face trial beginning March 31st in Brussels on the next common law court case having to do with child trafficking, global child trafficking. Now, on the heels of that announcement are these two very earth-shattering announcements today. The first one being, first of all, that on April 3rd in Rome, there will be a convergence of the same groups that sponsored the Protest the Pope rally in London in September 2010, where over 20,000 people went to the streets to protest the presence of the Pope in England. These same forces are converging on Rome on April 3rd because that's the day that Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth will meet with the Italian President Napolitano and then with Pope Francis. There will be a convergence at both the Presidential Palace and the Vatican to stop these meetings, to issue summonses to Jorge Bergoglio to appear before the court, and also to enforce the standing citizen arrest warrant against Elizabeth Windsor. That action on April 3rd will not only be a protest, will be an introduction as well to another action on Easter Sunday, April 20th, a few weeks later, in which spiritual elders from around the world will gather outside the Vatican for a third and final exorcism and replacement ceremony against the so-called Church of Rome. This gathering is very important because it's the meeting whereby the terms of reabsorption of the Church of England into the Church of Rome will be negotiated. And one of those terms, of course, is that Queen Elizabeth had to agree to apply the criminal law known as crimen solicitatis to the Church of England, whereby every citizen in England will be obligated to protect child rapists in the Church of England. So these criminal acts will not go unpunished, and they are the object of this protest in Rome on April 3rd. So we ask everybody to join us that day. But the second related announcement is the fact that a stand-down order has been issued to the officers of the Vatican and the Crown of England today. Now, this is every police officer, every politician, every judge, every civil servant have been ordered to stand down from their oath of allegiance to these criminal bodies, the Vatican and the Crown of England. This was announced today in Brussels on the first anniversary of the criminal conviction of the Crown, the Vatican, and the Government of Canada for crimes against humanity last year on February 25th. This legal order was issued by the presiding judges of the Criminal Trial Division of the International Criminal Court, International Common Law Court, which brought in the indictment a year ago of the Pope and the Queen. Now, 1 year after this indictment, this lawful verdict has in effect nullified the allegiances, the oaths of allegiance of these various officials to both the Crown and the Church of Rome. And the order, in effect, completes the legal disestablishment of these bodies by releasing the police, the judiciary, clergy, soldiers, and every other official from their oaths of allegiance to these bodies. The order, in effect, negates the authority and jurisdiction of all of these officials, and it notifies them that their continued allegiance to these convicted criminal heads of church and state will constitute collusion with wanted criminals, and thereby will be an act of treason against the people and the law, and could result in their arrest and imprisonment. This order will be delivered in person and through the media to these officials, and by the community at large, as well as by special sheriffs appointed by the court's presiding magistrates. Now, simultaneously, the court has issued another order creating new common law peace officers to enforce these verdicts and replace the disestablished authorities. We have copies of these orders, and they will be attached to the email and YouTube posting that's going out today. Well, quite simply, this is a revolution, because to nullify the authority of the judges, the police, and the politicians who are the agents of criminal institutions is the inevitable, responsible, and lawful consequence of the court's indictment of these criminal organizations. This is being done legally and in the open. Under the law, there no longer exists those organizations known as the Vatican, the Crown of England, or the governments of Great Britain and Canada. The populations of those countries and churches are now under the sole jurisdiction of the common law and the covenants that they, the people, establish among themselves and with their Creator. So now it's up to every one of us to enforce these orders, and we're all equally empowered to do so by these orders and by natural law. The old authorities of church and state and their laws can and must be actively ignored, and the standing citizen arrest warrants against Joseph Ratzinger, Elizabeth Windsor, and the others will be enforced. Now, as stated, this most recent order has been issued on the eve of the commencement of another criminal case against the Vatican, the present Pope Francis, for his role in child trafficking in Argentina and enforcing the criminal policy known as Crimen Solicitanis that protects child rapists throughout the entire Church of Rome and now the Church of England, thanks to Queen Elizabeth. This case will commence March 31st, and to ensure its procedure and convictions, common law courts have been established now in 7 countries, including Canada, the United States, England, Ireland, Holland, Spain, and Italy. Now we ask you to join us in this effort, to join us in Rome on April 3rd, and if you can't join us that day, to engage in occupations of Catholic and Anglican churches and other protests on that day throughout the world. You can stay tuned for more information at www.itccs.org and join us in this great quest and cause to protect the children of the world and disestablish these criminal bodies. I'll take your questions now, and I thank you very much.